This vlog is dedicated to you, Cleo. Wolves, hello and welcome in a very special vlog, because I'm gonna be doing what you want me to do. I don't know if that makes any sense, but whatever. Like a few months ago, I asked you what themed vlogs you would like to see, and I got a lot of suggestions. But today we're gonna go with the one that bemused Bookworm. So Cleo, I will put the picture over there, suggested. Oh my gosh, I have trouble speaking. Sorry, wolves. But it is Read the Final Empire. Set your time frame. If you read it within that time frame, you can choose a reward. The book is here. I have it here. I'm giving myself 1 week to finish the first era. So 3 books in a week. So this is the Final Empire, then we have the Well of Ascension, and then we have Hero of Ages. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what I want to happen. It's big, right? It's like 643, I think. Yeah, so that's not the easiest challenge. Do I think it is doable? I think it is, because a lot of people actually finished like that one in no time, because apparently I'm gonna read it fast. So I'm intrigued. But yeah, I'm gonna finally get to it. It is a 5-star prediction. I think it's gonna be a 5 stars for me. Yeah, I really want to read that one. Oh my gosh, I feel like, but also the font is not that tiny, but it's still tiny. But see, there is no space left. Like, it's all filled in with words and sentences and a story. And oh, there is a map here. But yeah, so I'm gonna start it now, and we shall see how it goes, wolves. So hopefully I will manage to do it, but if not, we shall see. It's okay. If I don't read all 3 in a week, there is no reward. If I can manage to do that, there's gonna be a reward. And guess what it's gonna be? I'm probably gonna buy books. Why am I so dark? Hello. I'm excited, but I will talk to you later for an update, wolves, because yes, I'm gonna read a little bit now and tell you what I think of it. It's gonna be spoiler free, I want to say. So you're just gonna have my reactions, and maybe my explanations won't make any sense, because I'm gonna react without telling you what happened, because spoilers. So we shall see, but I think it's gonna be fun. So wolves, wish me luck. I have 1 week, 7 days, 7 times 24 hours to finish this one. I think I can do it. I'm confused. I mean, I guess that's the way you should feel at the very beginning of like that type of books. But I've read 43 pages, and like I read the first, like, it's not the chapter, it's like the prologue or whatever, and I was like, are skas, whatever, like a type of creature? Like, I was so confused, but actually I think they're human, normal human slaves. I'm confused, honestly. I don't know what's happening. Like, some people are slaves, some people are a step on top slaves, like better slaves. Then you have different kind of investigators or whatever. I'm not sure I understand. The ministry. So this is the final empire, and apparently there are some Mistborns. I'm confused. Wait, is it in the synopsis? Yeah, so one of the main characters is a ska slave, and she has allomancy. Allomancy is apparently a type of power that allows you to manipulate people's feelings, I would say. Not especially thoughts or whatever, but like they would make you, let's say that you feel like this is a scam, you cannot do whatever, you cannot give them money, blah blah blah, and then they're gonna make you feel like no, you can trust them, etc. So you're gonna like fall into that trap or whatever. So that's, oh, that there's a Mistborn. So she's a Mistborn because she has allomancy, sorry, and she's a slave. Okay, so it makes a bit more sense. So there are people that are slaves, there are people that are trying to change the world they're living in, and apparently I guess it's gonna be like political, but like the conspiracy, not a conspiracy, but like the rebellion is obviously a huge part of this book. I mean, that's how I feel about it so far. And we have characters who are here to help that girl. Whatever. Sounds intriguing. Sounds intriguing. So I'm gonna continue reading, and my battery is flashing. Yeah, the battery is dying as usual. But yeah, we'll talk to you later. Hopefully a bit further. I think it's time for an update. So yeah, I'm not on the beach because it has been raining and thundering. Thunder. It was so strong at one point that I was back home because I felt it. Like when the sea starts to go wild and the sun starts to hide under clouds and you can see like the birds flying low, you know it's gonna rain. And when you see no ants at all, you know it's gonna rain. But never mind. So I got back home and the thunder started, and it got so strong that I actually jumped. I never jump because I love that. I just love thunder. And a few things that were on my table fell on the floor. That's telling you how strong and how close it was. But book-wise, so it's not even, it's 10, I believe. So I started the book yesterday afternoon, beginning of evening, whatever. I read a bit at the beach today. I'm on page 197. As much as the beginning was kind of what the heck is happening, I'm not getting anything, whatever. Now I'm into it. Like I was on the beach and you know I use my watch to force myself to turn, to change sides for the sun, like every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. I was so into the book that I did not notice that my alarm went crazy for like 15 minutes. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm really into it. I'm starting to understand the magic system in there, which is related to types of like metals, and I have some little issues with one of the main character and the whole like learning process, let's say. I'm trying to keep it like spoiler free, but because sometimes it feels like just too easy, and I don't like when characters don't struggle while learning things. I totally get that it can be very comfortable and very skilled in one thing, but when it's for too many things or just too good, I have a little issue with that, because I don't know, it's for me like the trope, the chosen one or whatever, and then you have the super skilled one, like that person who knows everything and doesn't need to learn much. But that's a me issue, I guess. But the rest of it is super interesting. It's really political, and there is a huge rebellion going on, and some kind of like, I don't want to say a heist or whatever, but it feels like the whole preparation almost feels like the heist, like in Six of Crows or whatever, is coming, like they're getting prepared to change things. They're getting prepared to get life, to get everything different, you know what I mean? Like they want justice, and I really love that in books, when people want something that is fair, that is right, that is like, you know, justice in general. I love that. Maybe it's my Libra side, but I just love when things are fair, and and when it's not good. Fair doesn't mean that it has to be positive all the time. Fair just means that there is no kind of discrimination or whatever, or like, you know, ruler and slaves, etc. Something can be bad, but it's still fair because you just tried something and it did not work, and you can feel like it's not fair, but actually it is fair. You just tried and failed, and that's fine. But yeah, I've been rambling for some time now, but I'm really enjoying the Final Empire, so hopefully I will read a lot more today because I'm staying here. I won't go back to the beach. I believe I might go for a drink, like a tea or coffee, and reading at the bar, like restaurant on the beach. Maybe I will do that, but I'm really, really loving it, so I'm gonna continue with it. So yeah, that's good news, also. That's good news. Guess who just fell asleep and napped for 4 hours, which is basically an entire night of sleep, whatever. Me. And then I participated in a live show, and here I am. I should have read more today, so I will do that now. Who can smell the fail? Hello Wolves, what's up? So, time to give you a little update. I think I'm gonna fail, so that's said, because I'm late on schedule. So here we have, by the way, can you see which one I took to the beach? Was it always that different, or is it the beach, I mean just the sun, that destroyed that book? The color of that of these pages? I don't know, but the pages feel different as well. And I feel like this one is more like, it's floppier than this one, so I believe it was different to begin with. Yeah, I don't know, but whatever, I finished it. I still have not rated on Goodreads. I think I will, like at the end when I finish them all or whatever. It's a very, I don't know if I should rate it 4 stars or 5 stars. I want to say 5 stars because it was surprisingly addictive. It was good. I love the characters and their relationships, and I love the magic system, even if at the beginning I was quite confused because I couldn't picture what was happening, where they were like using the powers, but things were quite predictable, like not the major things, let's say, but all the tiny little things I knew they were coming. So that's why not, I don't know, I really don't know, I'm struggling. I don't know if it's gonna be like a 4.5 or 5 stars. I still don't know, but I'm really in love with the story, and something happened at one point. I was like, oh my gosh, he did it. I knew it was coming, but I didn't want that to happen, but he did it, and I admire Brandon Sanderson for that. This is a masterpiece. Like I totally get why everyone is like, yeah, you have to read it, blah blah blah, but I would say quite predictable. So, but very interesting and very different from other fantasy I have read. So that's what I definitely appreciate, and especially because the power is something I never read about. Like they're using metals for powers, and then like burning the, I mean it's burning, but not burning in flame, like burning using them, like turning them on kind of thing. And it was really 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 good. And definitely you can read it in no time, even if it's a chunky book. I'm just late on schedule because my aunt and uncle arrived, so I went for a drink, we're talking on the beach, etc. So I don't have as much time to read, but it's really good. It's really good. So I'm really happy I got like to actually start this one now. This one is a bit, see the size? It's similar, right? Here it's 640, something like that, and here we have 780 pages. So yes, the pages are thinner and different materials, and they feel like softer, etc. We shall see if the color is gonna turn yellowish, but I'm gonna start it now. I'm supposed to leave in an hour for another city. It's raining, pouring outside, so we're gonna leave a bit Gaia's and go shopping and walk somewhere else. I mean, walk. We'll see if the rain allows us to walk or not. But yeah, so that's it for the update. Really in love with the characters. Really in love with... It's not that I'm a fan of the magic system, but I like it because it's different. But it's something I still have like trouble. There is something bothering me with this power, and also with the main character. So I guess it's gonna be more of a 4 stars than 5 stars, because things bother me, but it's absolutely amazing. I don't know, I will see how I feel about it in a few hours. I don't know, I feel like it deserves 5 stars, but I feel like I want to give it 4 stars. It's just so good, but predictable, and we shall see, Wolves. But happy good. I will update you later. Let's hope I don't feel too bad, or maybe I'm gonna catch up. So good. So yeah. I look red, no? I don't know, that's weird. But I don't know if I have already updated you on this one. I don't know. So I'm reading the Well of Ascension, so book 2. Obviously, I mean, I already told you that, right? It was like yesterday, but I already forgot. Never mind. And I'm really enjoying it. I love that it started right after the first book finished. I love to like learn a bit more about the character's background, and, you know, understanding a bit more the magic system and the politic and all like the relationships between different characters, but the different, like the Scad, the nobleman, etc, etc. Like I feel like I have a good understanding of the world and the world building and the magic system and the politics, and, you know, who is gonna like betray who, whatever. Like I kind of know how the characters are gonna react, or what they're gonna say, or how they're gonna feel, or whatever. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying the fact that it's not like romancy kind of thing, which there is something romancy going on, but it's not about that. It's about everything else. That's just like a detail, whatever. And even that detail is not like detailed, if that makes any sense. It's just like a fact, and it's like talked about, but it's not like going too deep into it, if that makes any sense. So I'm really loving it because it's mostly about friendship and understanding others, not only your friends, not only your enemies, but everyone and everything around you, which I'm really enjoying it. I'm a little bit more than halfway through it. I'm on page 408 out of 763, and I am really enjoying it. So now reading this one, I feel like the first book was a 4 stars, just because as I finished it and I was like, okay, it's good, but I'm not sure if it's a 5 stars or 4 stars. So just the fact that I wasn't sure means that it was a 4 stars for me, but a very high 4 stars. And I guess that this one's going to be a high 4 stars as well. It's a really, it's really an amazing series. Just little things that I would have liked to be kind of different, if that makes any sense. But I can totally understand the hype around, surrounding that series, and why people keep recommending it, and why people recommended it to me. And I would definitely recommend it to a lot of you, because it's different from other fantasies that I have read recently. It's so much more dense, deep, believable. I don't know how to explain that, but it's so much more than just about the magic system. It's about politics, which is something I really love reading about in books. I love politics. I love when there is some kind of strategy, and I love when not always the good guys win. I love when it's a bit more tricky than that, and I love that it's more I don't know, that it's changing. I don't know how to explain that without spoilers. I don't know how to explain that, but I love the fact that it's not all black or all white. There is gray in between, and there are a lot of different shades of gray, which I really love. And all the different characters, they have different layers that really make them believable, and lovable or hateable. Is that a word? Hateable? Whatever. But you really get to know the characters and the world building and everything. You can really picture everything, even if some things are quite confusing, especially at the very beginning of book 1. I would say, at least I was a bit confused, and I'm still not sure that I understand everything 100%, but I do have a good knowledge of everything, more or less, if that makes sense. And I think I just contradict myself here, but really enjoying it. So I cannot wait to see how this one's gonna end and to read the last one. So I think I'm gonna be late with this challenge, but I'm gonna do my best. So let's read a little bit more. But yeah, but in the meantime, let me know if you read that series and if you are planning on doing so. And yeah, but yeah, it's definitely I understand why it's overhyped. Yeah. Hello, am I focused? No, I am not. Yes, I am. Am I? I don't know, whatever. I hope you can hear me. Just finished. So the Well of Ascension. So I'm about to start the Hero of Ages. I need to finish that one in 1 day to be on time with my 1 week goal. So we'll see how that goes. But I actually bought the audiobook. I mean, I had credit on Audible. So I actually listened to the audiobook for half here, that much of the book. While actually reading the book at the same time, and while I was doing dishes or whatever. And I actually enjoyed the audiobook. It's not like a full cast of characters or whatever, but I enjoyed the voice, and I found it pretty, it fits. I mean, it fits for my taste, let's say. But I definitely think this is an amazing series, etc. But I feel like it is a 4 stars for me. Nothing is really wrong with it. It's just a personal thing, I would say. There is something missing for me to make it a 5 stars, to make it one of my all-time favorite series. It's gonna be one of my all-time favorite series, but not on the top 5 or whatever. But I said that a few times, but I love the characters, I love the world building, I love the magic system. And in the second one, it gets way more political and about strategy and about how to get what you want in the smartest way possible. And it takes a lot of thinking and, doubt but also you have to fake that you're sure about what you're doing, etc. So I really loved the second one way better than the first one. Obviously, like in the second one, I'm more like familiar with the world and all the characters. But the thing is, in the second one, it got like way more political and way more strategy heavy. But like, I love that it's all about friendships and trust. And that's something that I feel like is missing in a lot of books, because in a lot of books it's about like appropriate time, appropriate friendship, or like luck, or I don't know, there is not enough trust, but I want to say true trust, like the real trust, not the trust, oh, you just helped me so I'm gonna trust you now. Like, trust is fluid. Like, you can trust someone one day and then they're gonna do something. You're gonna be like, do I still trust them as much as I did yesterday? I'm not sure. And then it goes worse and then better, etc., etc. That's trust, until you finally understand that doubts are like, I don't know how to explain, like doubting someone is part of giving them trust, because if there is no possibility of doubting, there wouldn't be no possibility of trusting, if that makes any sense. So everything here makes their relationships even more true to me and believable and enjoyable, etc. Not that I love that my characters don't trust each other kind of thing, but the fact that they question themselves about things like that feel more humans, and I actually really adore that. And I cannot tell you much more about this one because spoilers, obviously, but there are things that happen in there. I was quite like unprepared, or let's say not unprepared in a way that I was like crying or like super sad, where they were just unprepared because unexpected, and I was like, oh wow, I did not see that coming. There are a few things that were like, when I discovered what happened, I was like, oh yeah, obviously, like it makes sense, and I love that. Like, I wasn't surprised, but I didn't doubt the path that Brandy Sandy made us take in a way. So I was like not surprised, but I was like pleased by it. And then other things that were like details or whatever that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that to happen that way, whatever. But I liked it because it felt genuine in some way, because it was like kind of spontaneous. And you know how we humans can be very messy and we can be very ups and downs. And the thing is that all the characters, they feel like real people. Like, they really feel like real people. Even the little issue I had at the very beginning with, so the main character, Vin, at the very beginning, I had like a problem with her because I felt like she was the best at everything and that she knew everything and she was learning everything super fast and whatever and whatever. You know, kind of the chosen one, the special one kind of trope that sometimes can be a bit bothering, that can be like a bit troublesome, whatever. I had some issue with her, but the more I read about her, the more I love that she's kind of special, because of everything she went through and because of her way of thinking and acting, and you know, her whole behavior and link to life and her way of growing into herself. I really love reading about her. I mean, there is no character I don't like to read about them. Like, even the bad persons, like the villains, are just like the person you don't need in your life. I love actually reading about them because those people are not like they're not like huge villains or whatever. So they're believable. Like, you have villains in real life, you know, people that are kind of making your life like a nightmare, or that are not helping you with everything that you're trying to do, whatever. Obviously there is one villain, so the Lord Ruler, which I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but I love the way he is kind of talked about, book 1 versus book 2. I'm very careful with what I'm saying and how I'm saying things, but I really love reading more about that character. So that's also something I'm really enjoying. I don't know what I expect from the third one, especially because there is a Mistborn series era 2, so a second trilogy to that one, and apparently it's pretty different from this one. I don't know if it has the same characters or if it's like 1,000 years after the first era or whatever. I have no idea at this point. I will maybe check that at the end of this book, so when I finish the Hero of Ages. Gosh, for one sec, I thought I read like book 3, that I read book 3 before book 2, but that's not possible because of that ending. I know there is something like coming, you know, after that. But overall, amazing story. And yes, if you love like political things and you love real relationships and more something on the platonic side of relationships, because yes, there are people that are together, that are like a couple, whatever, but we don't talk about that too much. Like, we talk about their feelings and how they are like together, but we don't talk about their, I don't know, we don't go too much into details. We don't know about their sexual lives, if there is any, etc, etc. So we don't get that too much, or not at all, for, I don't know, it depends. So I'm really enjoying that. So the focus is not on that. The focus is really on the like epic fantasy political aspect of it, trust, friendship, and adventures, and also like making the right choices, which are not always the simplest, sadly. So, and like the best choices are sometimes not leading to the best outcome for yourself, but it will for the others. So sometimes you have to forget a little bit about yourself to help others, but sometimes you have to think for yourself first and then the others. So it's all about balance, and that's what I love, and that's what makes this book, like that series so far, so believable and enjoyable. And I don't know, the fact that it is balanced. I love things to be balanced. I love things to be the way they are, and the writing style is amazing, and I love the pacing, and I love the way the book is split, and I love, like, I'm talking way too much, right? I'm sorry, Wolves, but I'm really enjoying it. I don't know, I don't feel like it's a 5 stars for me. Something is missing. I don't think I will be able to tell you what I think is missing. Maybe it's like the whole atmosphere. Maybe the books that are for me are, but, I'm lying, because there are other books. I don't know what you are. There are other books, like other series that are not like power fantasies, or that are not like Russian inspired, that I gave 5 stars to, but there was something in them that made me feel. It's not that it doesn't make me feel, but it doesn't make me scared for the characters. Except for one thing that happened in the first book. I was like, oh my gosh, Brandon Sandy did it. Like, I did not see that coming. I was not expecting that, but he did it. But that did not break my heart. You know what I mean? It did not break me. So that's why not a 5 stars, because I'm not like feeling. But yeah, so I'm gonna start the third one now. and I hope it's going to be as exciting as the first book and the second book was. And the magic system, like the way it's working with all the different metals, etc., I get it way more here. To be honest, I probably said it, quite confused at the very beginning of the first book. I was like, what the heck? How did they do that? I don't get it. But now I'm still not sure if I see it the same way the author wanted me to see it, but I see it in some way that it works in my head, and I feel like it's the most important thing I want to say. So definitely a good series, and definitely I mean, not that I had doubt that I wouldn't like it, but you know, when it's overhyped and when everyone recommends you a book, it's always like a bit like stressful to start it. But I feel like a lot of people could actually enjoy it. So I'm gonna stop rambling now, because editing Sasha, you're gonna hate yourself. But yeah, so brutal in some way, beautiful in another way, and overall awesome, believable, friendship. I don't know, it's different from what I've read, and it feels so much more peaceful, but that's not the word I want to use, because it's I mean, what's happening inside is not peaceful. It's not peaceful. Like, it's all about politics and war and stealing kingdoms and, you know, fighting for a society that doesn't allow everyone to have their own place in the whole system, kind of thing. So it's not like a happy book, a peaceful book, or where everyone is safe, kind of thing. But it feels more peaceful than other books. I don't know how come. It feels peaceful. Like, when I read it, I just forget about everything else, and I'm like into the story, but I'm not on the edge of my seat at the same time. But I'm really enjoying it, and I'm like going through the pages and the chapters, and it's just a good book. So I will leave you here now, Wolves, and I will update you with the last one. Hopefully I will respect the delay. I mean, not the delay, the time frame I set myself. Okay, so it is months after I've read like the trilogy that I'm here to kind of summarize my thoughts regarding the series or whatever. So actually I lost all the footage from the third book because I read all three in 1 week. I swear I did it in summer when I was in Croatia and then Bosnia. I think I finished it in Bosnia and not in Croatia or whatever. But I've read all three, and you can see, you cannot really see it, but these two books are kind of damaged because the pages are yellowish because of the sun. The sun is not good for your skin or for your books, and this one is like not that yellowish because I actually started it in Croatia, just like a few chapters, and then finished it in Bosnia, or even started it in Bosnia. I cannot remember. Probably you will probably see it from the previous footage. But just before jumping into the summary of my thoughts regarding next series, let's dive a little bit in that trilogy. I took notes actually, which is very fortunate because I lost the footage. So I give it, did I just say that? I gave it 4 stars. I gave 4 stars to all the books here, primarily because even though I cared about the characters, I did not care enough to actually really be scared for them and really feel for them. I never felt like I was part of the crew, if that makes any sense. So that's why not 5 stars. Something was missing for me to make it 5 stars. And also, but yeah, let's talk about this one first before giving all my thoughts. So I'm reading my notes here as well. But basically here we are following our characters a few months after book 2, and I'm actually scared to say who my favorite characters were of who we were following in this one, because that could be considered spoilers, because it means that these characters did not die, or maybe that something happened or whatever. So I'm not gonna say any names because I'm scared that it will be spoilery. What I loved about that book and also the second one, I feel like this one was a bit slower than the rest and could have been a bit shorter, but at the same time I really enjoyed the high stakes, because you have very high stakes in these books. The tension is real, the danger is real, so I really love that. But also I feel like in this one, even though it is kind of character driven, there is a lot of plot too, but I feel like in this one we took a deep dive into the history of the world, but also like the magic system, but also the old religions, etc, etc, and it's something that I really do love. And I do love long explanations, I love getting a lot of information or whatever, but I feel like we got them organically through the characters, and it was not just like information dropping, if that makes any sense. So that's also something that I really loved in that book. Like, I wrote something else, and also sometimes you have to unlearn things to learn new things. Like, you have to unbuild things to rebuild things. It doesn't make sense if you have not read the books. I agree. But this is something that you should keep in mind. But I feel like it is maybe what Brandy Sandy does to actually kind of misleading you. Maybe it is Brand, but I'm not aware of, because I mean, I've read the other series, Skyward, by him, but just the first book, so I have not finished the series yet, so I don't know if that's the same for that YA series. But I feel like that could be something that he's good at, like misleading you, whatever. And saying that kind of feels like a spoiler or whatever, but it's so much more than that, so much more, like, so much bigger than that. But I feel like I had to be aware that I did have some questions for which I had answers at the end of this book, if that makes any sense. I also loved some new POVs and fresh perspectives we got in here, and I really love that we got like some point of view from very non that important characters, like lower characters, let's say, because sometimes you get interesting points from them that you don't get from the main character, and sometimes you're just like, oh, does that mean that? Etc, etc. So I really love that as well. Regarding the ending, I love the ending as much as I have mixed feelings regarding that ending. I usually love endings that are like half opened, half closed, that have a mix of sadness and happiness, etc, etc, which kind of makes sense, that it's like nor good nor bad, it's in the middle, or a mix of both, or whatever. I really do love that. I also love the fact that we have as many answers to our questions, but as many new questions that are coming. Was that English? I don't think so, but like the ending answers many questions but brings many questions as well. And I feel like maybe we'll get some answer in era 2, I'm not sure how you say that. But knowing that era 2 is actually happening like 300 years after this one, it means that we will not be following any of the characters that are here, unless there is something that I'm missing, maybe, I don't know. So it feels like a real ending. This is really the final book in the series, even though we will be diving back to the world. It's the end of the crew we kind of followed, which makes it like bittersweet kind of thing, because I love that there is an ending, but at the same time sometimes you want more. But I'm happy with that, if that makes any sense. And the other thing that I can say regarding that series, or maybe Brandon Sanderson in general, whatever, is that you know that I keep saying that Neil Gaiman is actually a genius. He's a storyteller. He's, for me, like the geniuses of the geniuses, if that makes any sense. Like the genius, like the biggest genius ever. But I feel like Brandon Sanderson is a genius as well, because everything he wrote had purpose. But at the same time, it's not the same thing as John Gwynne with The Fate from the Farm, because there, everything that was said had a meaning and was meant to be because of something happening. But here, I feel like it is a mix of that, but it is also a mix of misleading all the time. But at the same time, it was really brilliant. Like, the ending makes sense, even if I don't accept everything that happened here, even if sometimes, like, I read a few things here, no spoilers, and I was like, what the heck? Is that for real? And I just like had to reread the pages a few times just to make sure that I had actually understood correctly what was going on, because it was just like, what? So it made sense in the story, even though I don't accept it, because for me it was maybe a bit too what the heck, a bit too much. It was still a perfect ending, if that makes any sense. I don't know. And also I feel like that could be like he came full circle, if that makes any sense. Here you understand pretty much everything, but also the fact that Branderson kind of misled us, or at least misled me. I love that, because it means that you keep having interesting twists, and you know, it's not exactly what you expected, etc, etc. But at the same time, I felt a bit betrayed, if that makes any sense, because to have a bit of misleading is good, but when it's a bit too much, you just feel like, hey, the contract between you, author, and me wasn't fulfilled because you misled me, you lied to me so many times. So that's how I felt. And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I did not care enough about the book and the characters. But at the same time, I felt betrayed, and I would not feel betrayed if it wasn't for something that I was caring about. Is that even English? I guess. And also at the end, like, some questions I didn't have and some doubt I didn't have were talked about at the end, and that made me question things and doubt about things. I'm not okay with everything happening in this one, like some death or whatever. I feel like they were not deserved, and I don't think they really made sense. I would have loved things to be a bit different, but at the same time, again, I feel like it's just because it's me, but everything kind of made sense. As a summary for the entire series, I gave them all 3 4 stars, so it's going to be like a 4-star series. It is definitely a series that made me want to read more of Brandon Sanderson, so I'm going to continue reading them, Era 2, Era 2, and all the other books, because I feel like the worlds are kind of intricate. I feel like it's going to get better and better, because I feel like this one was written like a long time ago, right? 2006, if that makes any sense. And I feel like Brandon Sanderson was always like a genius and a brilliant writer, but I feel like now he got even better, if that makes any sense. I mean, I'm not a writer, so sometimes I feel it feels weird to kind of comment on that, but that's how I feel. But things that kind of bothered me in that series, but maybe that's just me, is like the female representation. I feel like we got a lot of female characters, or let's say enough, but they were not as important and as clever and as like high than the male characters. I feel like they were mostly used by the men, like by the men in the story, but also by Brandon Sanderson to just fill in some gaps or to be used for a bigger picture or whatever. And I feel like it also, the worst thing is that it kind of makes sense with the story, but at the same time I would have wanted more badass characters with a very good character development, because I feel we got interesting character development, but not exactly the way I wanted them, and that's why it's also like a 4 stars and not 5 stars. As I said, like, I felt betrayed at the end, so that's why 4 stars as well. I don't like that feeling. I still respect the ending, I still respect the author's writing style and plot ideas and twists, etc, etc, because everything made sense, again. But I didn't like the fact that I felt betrayed, because it means that maybe it was just too many twists or too many misleading for me to actually feel like part of the world. It's like your entire life you've been told one thing, and then like when you're turning like, I don't know, whatever, you just discover that it's not true. It's just like you have to reset your entire way of thinking or whatever. Obviously it's not really the case here, because it's just a series that I read in 1 week, but I felt like, especially maybe because I read it in 1 week, I was so invested in the story that I feel like I knew the truth, but at the end I was like, oh no, actually I was lied to. Oh, not lied, but it was like a hidden lie, you know what I mean, like untold lie. So I felt betrayed, and I did not like that. There is a bit of romance in it. It did not bother me. That's all I'm gonna say. It did not bother me. The fact that it made sense or not sense, I don't know, it's gonna be different for everyone, but I feel like it did not bother me because it wasn't like the main thing of the book. It makes sense to have a bit of romance in books or whatever, because not everyone is just like about like platonic relationships, etc, etc, so it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, like the main like relationship, like love relationship that we have, it's kind of platonic, which I actually enjoyed. So yeah, I already said it that some of the deaths did not make sense to me or were not deserved, but at the same time I did not care, but I'm caring enough to say that they did not deserve that. Even though I was not entirely sure about the way I feel about the ending, because a bit what the heck for me, a bit nonsense or whatever. I mean nonsense. Everything was actually logical in the way Branderson wrote Branderson. Did I say Branderson? Can we say Branderson instead of Brandon Sanderson? Branderson? Did I say Branderson? Branderson? It makes sense, no? Brandon Sanderson. Branderson. I love Branderson. Whatever. Like, I am a very logical, wicked person if you refer to the Wayward Children series by Sean Maguire. So the way that everything was logical, I really appreciate that, because sometimes when things are like a bit too twisted and they don't make sense, etc., it bothers me a little bit, because I just can't deal with illogical things. Like, I would die in a world like Alice in Wonderland. As much as I love that book, I would die if I end up there, because that would drive me crazy. So the ending was very logical, and everything that happened, like the revelations and the truth, the answers, whatever, everything made sense and was kind of logical. So I appreciate that, because it made sense. And for a person like me, it was huge. I feel like I don't have much more to say if I want to keep it like spoiler free. So I'm gonna stop here. Overall, a very interesting story with allomancy, which is something completely different that I've never read about before. Like relationships, magic with like metals, whatever. You have to drink a small portion of that metal in order to use that metal power and to push or pull, you know, to be going towards that metal or to be pushed or whatever, to allow you, for instance, to fly or whatever. It's very intriguing, it's very intricate, and you have so many things surrounding that or whatever. You have Mistborn who can kind of have all the powers, and you have other people who can only use one, etc. Everything was really interesting, really well done, really unique. The writing style is amazing, and these are chunky books, but they don't feel that chunky once you are in the world. Once you are actually reading the books, you just like go through the fly through the pages like nothing. So that was huge. Enjoyment was high as well. Like logical characters, etc, etc. It just feels right to rate it 4 stars. So yeah, there is one quote that I really enjoyed, and it is, "Somehow we'll find it, the balance between whom we wish to be and whom we need to be, but for now we simply have to be satisfied with who we are." But yeah, well, let me know if you have read that series, which one was your favorite. I feel like the third one was my least favorite. I feel like it was the first one, second one, third one, because the last one was like the slowest one. And I don't know, the ending not satisfied, but I feel like the first one was actually my favorite in the series. Let me also know if you've continued with Brandon Sanderson's books like Era 2, etc, etc. Curious to see if you would recommend them all. I guess yes, but yeah. I don't know if I should say anything else regarding it. It was a nice adventure to actually read them, so yeah, I'm happy I did it. But yeah, well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the pack. Talk to me in the comment section as usual. And until next time, take care, wolves. Bye.